Good morning. My name is Dainhen Butler, Anger Management Specialist. Happy November. The month of October has been a very trying one. But throughout this upload, what I'll give you is examples in how anger management actually worked in my life. Starting off the month, my niece, Dainhen Butler, she and the father of her child were walking my nephew to the bus stop, and upon coming back, she was shot in the face. She was actually shot in the mouth, and he was shot in the leg. No argument, no exchanging of anything. The individual whom has a serious mental health background, simply walked up to them and began to fire. That was on a Wednesday. That following Sunday, after the Falcons game, my father, who lives in Lithonia, Georgia, had his back window kicked in, and he and his wife were robbed at gunpoint. They stole his car, they stole his rent money, they stole his sense of security to one degree or another. Exactly 1 week later, on that not the following Friday, but the next Friday, I have an individual who has worked for me for about 2 to 3 years. About 3 years. He worked for me and did exceptional work. On that particular Friday, he drove off in my vehicle. He was supposed to deliver some equipment to an elementary school. He drove off that Friday and never returned. He never went to the elementary school. He never returned with my vehicle. And so these are definitely situations that could cause one to anger, to say the least. And so throughout these situations, I had eyes watching me, because I'm always the calmer, and I'm always trying to find something positive. That's one of the elements of anger management. Find something positive within the negative and build upon that. Also, I try to take out all emotions. And when I say take out all emotions, I try to operate from a position of emotional intelligence, meaning that a lot of people get so caught up in, how they feel, they never pay attention to the facts. And also, I have to understand that every situation that I've dealt with, or that we have dealt with, has been humanistic nature that has caused these situations to take place. On the first situation, what needs to take place is that the proper authorities need to be notified, because you're going to need a professional doctor, you're going to need policemen, you're going to need detectives. So the first thing to do is cooperate with those individuals so you can get done what's supposed to get done. And the aftermath of that is that there will be some necessary help. There will be a need for financial assistance and just, counseling to one degree or another, whether it be therapeutic or physical or what have you, but there's a systematic way of doing things. I did have people call me saying that we heard about the guy and such and such and such and such. And this is what I want to be very clear about, that in no time should one take the law into his or her own hands. Because if you are important to your circle, if you're important to your family, then when you begin to take the law into your own hands in that aspect of it, then what takes place is you put yourself at jeopardy. You put yourself in a situation where you could actually be sitting in a cell for the rest of your life. And I don't know to whom you should be bringing the word to or being a therapist to in the jail cell, but I prefer to do my counseling out here. So that was the first lesson. The second lesson was that, I spoke to my dad, and this was moments after the robbery. And he was very calm. He didn't want to spend the night at the hotel. He didn't want protection. He was cool, and I couldn't understand that. But he was like, his whole thing was, man, I'm alive. I'm alive. And although that has happened, could have been prevented, a lesson has been learned from it. And so that's the positiveness that I derive from that. He was thankful. He was thankful that he was alive, but he wasn't bothered. I don't know if it's because he's an honorary man or because he's 76 years old, but what he said was that we're all alive. Now, within my situation, I took a loss. I took a financial loss. But you know what? I learned a very valuable lesson that as a counselor who's able to deal with angry people, you know what? I may need to inform myself or educate myself or take some classes on substance abuse because when I work with an individual and when I see that individual making progress in the working field, that does not necessarily mean that they're making progress with their actual fight with this addiction. And so I'm not a drug addiction counselor. I'm an anger management specialist. So again, I can deal with somebody who's pissed off, but there are other elements that you have to take into consideration. How this reflects from a client's perspective. A number of us deal with individuals who have substance abuse issues. They run off with the TV, the refrigerator. We misjudge them. So in that aspect, I think that you have to be realistic about an individual and the substance abuse issues that they have. This person has a chemical imbalance, and unless they're interacting in some type of group, a 12-step program, or however many steps, then you should be cautious as to what kind of responsibilities you put on that individual. And I think that it's important to understand that although this person or these individuals may not be voicing their fight, it's a fight every day. And if you don't acknowledge that, you'll set yourself up for disappointment. I don't blame anybody for anything that has happened. I do know that a lesson is in everything. There have been a number of opportunities for one to pout and to fold his arms and say, you know what, to heck with it, this is what I'm going to do. But you know what? No, there's a systematic way to do everything. I'm not one to get caught up on materialistic objects because they come and go. You know what? After everything that has taken place, although I'm not a firm believer in, how Thanksgiving came about, I do believe that this Thanksgiving will be an awesome one due to the fact that we are all still alive. And we do have the ability to interact with each other and look back on some of the bad times. From an anger management perspective, I think that it's given me an opportunity to operate from a position of emotional intelligence. It's allowed me to identify with the facts and not to run off and try to make believe that, certain perceptions are as real as other people explain them. You have to deal with the cold hard facts. And when you're able to do that, that can turn into motivation. In my mind, the only thing that I could think about is that, if I was in a financial place where I could take my family and we could live in our own neighborhood and I could make sure that they were safe to one degree or another, that's what I would do. So everything that has happened is turned into a hunger for to obtain freedom. And when I say freedom, I don't mean a shackled or unshackled freedom. I mean a freedom where one is able to do certain things and live in certain neighborhoods where you don't have to worry about somebody kicking in your dad's door. But nevertheless, again, we're all alive. We're all functioning. And it's brought us closer together. And lessons have been learned. My name is Dainhen Butler, anger management specialist. Please subscribe. Please ask questions. The Dainhen Butler Show will be on air November 15th, 2015, Instinct Radio. Download the app, tune in, support the movement. Logic over anger.